All right, let's dive in. In our world that's more connected than ever, something as simple as welcoming a guest, well, it's turned into this incredibly complex art form. So today, we're going to get into why cultural intelligence might just be the most critical skill out there right now, especially in travel and hospitality.
I mean, it really does sound like the beginning of a joke, right? But seriously, for the global hospitality industry, this isn't a joke at all. This is the central challenge they're facing every single day. Just picture it. You've got all these different generations from totally different cultural backgrounds, all walking through the very same door, and every single one of them expects an experience that feels like it was made just for them. So how on earth do you pull that off?
So to get a handle on this, let's zoom in on Thailand, which is, a world-class leader in hospitality. But here's the thing. Even for the absolute best in the business, this new era is a massive challenge. We're talking about a collision of cultures and generations like we've never seen before. It's forcing the entire industry to basically rip up the old playbook and start from scratch.
Yeah, that old rule book, it's officially obsolete. Think about it. Globalization and all these insane tech shifts have completely erased the predictable patterns of tourism we used to rely on. What's left is this dynamic, super complex, and honestly sometimes chaotic mix of expectations. And that's coming from both sides, the guests and the staff who are just trying to keep up.
And this right here, this quote really gets to the heart of what's at stake. We're not just talking about good or bad service anymore. A simple cultural misunderstanding can lead to a complete breakdown of trust. I mean, what one person sees as being super efficient, someone from another culture might see as just plain rude. Or what you might think as being friendly could feel totally intrusive to someone else. The potential for things to go sideways is, well, it's huge.
Okay, so if we're going to solve this puzzle, the first step has to be decoding the modern guest, because their expectations are all over the map, and a lot of the time they even conflict with each other. So let's break down exactly who we're talking about.
Okay, take a look at this. What's so fascinating here is just how clearly it lays out this massive generational divide. On one hand, you've got the baby boomers. They're spending their retirement savings and, they expect that classic traditional kind of service. Then, bam, you've got millennials. For them, an experience barely even counts if it's not shareable on Instagram. And then there's Gen Alpha. These are the true digital natives. They want everything to be seamless, instant, and totally integrated with technology. We're literally talking about three completely different worlds.
And yeah, speaking of Gen Alpha, you gotta hear this. A recent study found that 77% of these kids are already online. I mean, they've basically grown up with iPads in their hands. For them, the idea of a world without instant information just doesn't compute. And you better believe that shapes every single expectation they have as a consumer.
So let's put two of these groups side by side. For millennial, social media isn't just some app on their phone, it's a core part of their identity. They're documenting their lives to prove who they are, to connect. Now switch gears to the baby boomers. They're in a totally different phase of life. Their focus is all about enjoying retirement. And as the source material points out, they're a market with, not a whole lot of years left to capitalize on. We're talking about fundamentally different motivations driving their decisions.
So you have to ask, how can any single business possibly cater to all of these different people at the same time? Well, the answer isn't some fancy new app or a memorized service script. It's actually a skill. You could almost call it a superpower for the modern world. It's called cultural intelligence, or CQ for short.
And really, at its core, CQ is a pretty simple idea. It's all about being effective. It's that ability to step outside of your own cultural bubble and not just get by, but actually thrive in any environment with pretty much anyone. It's all about learning how to adapt without completely losing who you are. Now, what's really important to get is that CQ isn't just some vague concept. It's a whole four-part framework. So it all starts with knowledge. You got to know the basic facts about different cultures. Next up is strategy. That's where you plan out your approach. The third piece is motivation. You actually have to want to engage. And finally, you have action, which is all about adapting your behavior right there in the moment. You need all four of these to make it work. Okay, so that's the theory, right? But what does this CQ stuff actually look like in the real world, say on the ground in a hotel? Well, it turns out it's this really fascinating mix of high-tech tools and some very, very human skills. Let's start with the tech side. Innovation is doing some amazing things to bridge these cultural gaps. I mean, we're seeing everything from AI-powered apps that can actually pick up on human emotions to real-time language translation tools. There are e-wallet systems made for international guests, face recognition for a super seamless check-in, even AI that gives you personalized recommendations. The whole point of these tools is to get rid of barriers before you even know they're there.
And this is a really, really important point. The goal here is not to build some fully automated hotel run by robots. Not at all. It's about using technology to take care of the tricky logistical stuff, like language barriers or different ways of paying, so that the people, the human staff, can focus on what they do best. And that's making real, genuine connections and giving people a truly warm welcome.
Right, and that's exactly where the human side of the equation comes in. You can have the best tech on the planet, but it's totally useless if you don't have a team that knows how to use it. And effective training isn't about sitting in a classroom. It's about practical, hands-on stuff like interactive games and role-playing. It's about learning basic greetings, a little bit of slang, and the manners of your guests' cultures. And maybe most importantly, it's about developing those deep listening skills so you can figure out what a guest is actually trying to say, especially when things get tense.
So when you put these two things together, this powerful technology and this deeply human, culturally intelligent training, you start to see the shape of something really new emerging. You're actually seeing the future of what it means to be truly hospitable.
And look, the results, they really do speak for themselves. Just check out the impact this has on guest satisfaction. Your standard run-of-the-mill service model might get you, say, a 65% satisfaction rate, which is okay. But when you bring in a service that's driven by cultural intelligence, that number can jump all the way up to 90%. I mean, that is a massive improvement, and it makes a very powerful case for the business side of things. Because that leap, that's not just about having happier guests. That translates directly into people coming back again and again, leaving those glowing online reviews and building some serious brand loyalty.
And this really brings us to the main takeaway. For decades, the entire idea of hospitality was all about service. But in the future, it's going to be defined by understanding.
And if you look at the new pillars of hospitality, that understanding, it's the biggest piece of the pie now. Of course, traditional service is still super important, and technology is what makes a lot of this possible. But we're also seeing other things become just as crucial, like sustainability, for example. Guests are just more and more conscious of their environmental footprint. So yeah, it's a whole new equation for success.
When you boil it all down, it really comes back to a simple but pretty profound idea. At its very heart, the act of being hospitable isn't just a business transaction. It's an act of cultural exchange. It's about connection. And so that leaves us with one last question to chew on. We've been looking at all this through the lens of a hotel in Thailand. But let's be real, the implications here are universal. In a world that is so deeply connected and diverse, could it be that this ability to understand and adapt, this cultural intelligence, is actually becoming the single most important skill any of us can possibly learn? Definitely something to think about.